What's up, gamers? Aaron Shack here with Shackcast episode number 50 for you here. We are going to talk about the latest in gaming news. I have a couple of topics to throw out, and one of the biggest ones is about Mike Ybarra, who is former president of Blizzard Entertainment, VP at Microsoft. He had a tweet that sort of went viral just a couple of days ago, and the gaming media was, seemingly crucifying him for his thoughts here. And I'll read them to you, and I'll let you judge for yourself, and then I'll, of course, share my opinion. He said here, "I've thought about this idea for a while. As a player, since I've been diving into single-player games lately, when I beat a game, there are some that just leave me in awe of how amazing the experience was. At the end of the game, I've often thought, I wish I could give these folks another $10 or $20 because it was worth more than my initial $70, and they didn't try to nickel and dime me every second. Games like Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Elden Ring, etc. I know $70 is already a lot, but it's an option at the end of the game I wish I had at times. Some games are that special. I know most will dislike this idea," smiley face. "By the way, I realize we are tired of tipping and everything else, but I view this different from a pressure to tip type scenario many face and give feedback on." So that's the end of his statement. Now, my initial reaction, I'll show you right here, was, I appreciate your thoughts, and I think you're well-intentioned here, as I would be. I usually purchase more copies to give to friends, upgrade to a collector's edition of some sort, etc. I agree that tipping or just sending a donation doesn't really seem like the right move. It is just nice to support art when it is truly impactful. Now, I was actually on episode number 666 of the show Radio, that is Andrew Alliance's podcast, and we were talking about this last night because I brought it up. I said it seems to be a big hit topic, and it seems like everybody's like, he's wrong, this is bad, tipping's bad. And I'm like, yeah, all those things can be true, but I think people are not really seeing that this comes from a place where it's like, in a perfect world, the intention could be implemented in a positive way. But we don't live in a perfect world, so we know that these intentions are going to be corruptible, right? Like, if I were to tip a game developer, obviously that money would probably end up going all the way up the chain to the CEO, or kind of the way I talked about on the podcast last night, was that it's kind of like when someone tips at the end of a meal at a restaurant. Like, you leave some cash on the table, maybe the busboy grabs it and he pockets it. Or maybe it's only for the server picks it up. But then with some companies, you actually have to type those tips in and report them. You can't just pocket the cash. And a lot of times, sometimes that is put in on the receipt as part of a credit card transaction. They do the math and decide how much you get. And then, of course, that goes into the system. Well, that could mean that your boss, your manager, whatever, gets to decide, oh, that's a nice tip. I'll take the top of that. And then a little bit goes to the waitress. And then menial sum to the busboy, right? So it all goes down the chain. What was a well-intentioned tip for good service ends up, being mooched on by someone who did the least amount of work and didn't even bother to stop by your table, to the people that did the most amount of work and hardly get any credit for it. So, we want to find a way to, thank and compensate game developers. But really, with the cost going up to $70 and with collector's editions being so very expensive, which we're going to talk about on the show a little later, it becomes a bit of a problem. There's no way to ethically make sure the money gets to the right place. But that's when I was speaking to Andrew, he actually brought up an interesting thing. What if they have a Ko-fi page or some other donation page? You know, developers, you can find them on Twitter, and you can compensate there. You can say, wow, this is the art director. Or, oh, this is, you know, the music department over here. Like, you could thank those people, you know, with a small tip. Hey, coffee's on me today. Or you see they got a merch store, or you know, whatever it may be, right? So sometimes the easiest way is the way I thought of, which is like, hey, I'll just, you know, pick up a game for a friend and or make a video or do whatever it is. I can evangelize the game in more ways that maybe even don't even cost me money personally. I could make a video, I could live stream it, I could play it and make little videos about it, I could talk about it. There's all sorts of ways that you can sort of give back in a way. And word of mouth is very powerful. But it is, you know, it brings up a wider concern that we have, is that, you know, they work too hard and sometimes the compensation isn't equal. And I think the argument against Mike here was like, well, why don't we just pay devs what they're owed? You know, just pay them better, quit laying them off, you know, so constantly, which we're going to talk about that later in the show. If they were just compensated properly and CEOs weren't given ridiculous, you know, millions and millions of dollar raises at the cost of, you know, laying off most of the bottom of the staff. It's all very interesting. It's all very valid in some ways, but I feel like they went after him a little hard. And I think he had a well-intentioned idea, which in execution, probably not great. But I mean, what is Twitter? It's the place where we just share the thoughts that come to our mind, little ideas we have back and forth, you know. Nothing he's said here is directly implemented or changing the industry as we know it. But I think it's an interesting thing, and it's something I'll definitely consider. And like he said, there's only a few games there on that list. You know, some of those are Game of the Year titles, you know, and some of those are several years old at this point. So, I mean, it's not like these games, it's not like it's happening all the time, that, you know, tipping would be some sort of outrageous thing that you would feel obligated to do at every game, and you'd have to rank how much you enjoyed the game based on how much you would want to tip. I think it just really comes down to, like, every now and again, every 5-10 years, there's like a game that, you know, it's like life-changing that you played it. And I'm a big advocate for artists should be compensated for their work, because I'm a musician, I'm a photographer, I'm a writer, all these various things. I hate it when people pirate stuff. I hate it when people steal stuff. I hate it when artists are not properly compensated for the work, because that's what I would want for myself, and I want to see it for others. Simple as that. Nothing crazy. You're allowed to disagree. But I just think there's better implementations. There's good intentions hidden in there, hopefully. I would hope so. I would think so. But that is what I have on Mike Ybarra. Remember that the best way to support the channel is to sign up for a membership on the YouTube channel. Members get exclusive channel badges to highlight their continued support over the months and years. As a member, you get access to special emojis expressing a variety of emotions and support for the channel. Members will also receive photo and status updates, early access to select videos, and at higher tiers, access to a members-only Discord channel. Your support is what keeps the Shackcast photography blog and the YouTube channel going. Please like and share the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on a video or a Shackcast episode. Thank you for tuning in. All right, next up. This is kind of an older story. This dropped on April 6th. Xbox President Sarah Bond has set up a new team dedicated to game preservation and forward compatibility So this is saying that the backwards compatibility program that Xbox has had, where you can play original Xbox games, Xbox 360 games, Xbox One games, and now you have the Xbox Series consoles. You have those games, right? Per emails received by Windows Central, where this article comes from, she has briefed her team on these various topics. In the emails, they are planning to build a new Xbox hardware focused on delivering the biggest technical leap ever in a generation. That leads me to think we're not just getting ray tracing and path tracing and 60 frames per second finally being a guarantee, 4K, all these great things, potentially even more pixels, right? But I think we're going to see stuff like, AI, NVIDIA, DLSS, all sorts of these, more advanced computing. And I think, better graphics, bigger worlds, better gameplay, all these various things, it's a good thing. Let's see, it was revealed that Xbox has become Diablo 4's most prominent platform since the game was included on Xbox Game Pass. So yeah, Activision Blizzard has now been acquired, and so Xbox has become a bit of a gaming powerhouse here. They're including Fallout First, Minecraft Realms, World of Warcraft. So now they're starting to think about, like, okay, so we have generations of video games. How do we prepare for the next console that we're making, right? So they want to make sure, they want to get ahead of everything, because usually when a new console comes out, we immediately say, oh, I wish I could play this on it, and it's not compatible. And then you have to wait several months, and then eventually maybe it's made compatible, or maybe it's not. So it depends. It's definitely a case-by-case basis here. But I think it's really interesting. They're continuing to integrate Activision Blizzard games and Battle.net into Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass. So, I mean, they're already making moves with Activision, which to me kind of signals like, hey, the Transformers games, the Spider-Man games, all these various games from older generations, whether it's all the Call of Duty games being put onto modern hardware and the servers turned back on. That's a cool example of what Xbox could do here. And to be completely honest, they are the best at backwards compatibility. Nintendo had the Virtual Console, which was literally a great option. It was like, hey, games from all generations at all prices, and you could purchase and own them. But then with each console, the Virtual Console was rebooted for the Wii U, and then you had to buy all the stuff again. And then they came out with the Switch. They totally dumped it, and then they made you pay an online membership for access to a smaller library of Nintendo games. PlayStation has pretty much opted for the, hey, nobody plays old games, type attitude, where with the PS3, you could literally put PS1 and PS2 games into the fat PS3, as we call it, and you could play anything, right? And they even had digital games available online, and it still was PlayStation's best backwards compatibility console. But then they realized it was either too expensive or not something they're interested in, so they've really failed to properly allow those games to come through. Now, every now and again, we'll see PS1 games or whatever get ported to PS5. Some of them require you to either rent the game or to purchase the game, but even then, it's a shadow of what the old library was. So Xbox here has done the best job in terms of preserving their own games that have been on their consoles. So yeah, more that we have here. So they've set up a game to future-proof the current Xbox game library against future hardware paradigm shifts, ensuring that our games remain accessible long into the future. It's important to Xbox and the industry. We're building our strong history of delivering backwards compatibility to our players and we remain committed to bringing forward the amazing library of Xbox games for future generations to enjoy, right? I think that all makes sense to me. She also says here, at a time where the gaming industry's growth is flattening, ours continues. That's interesting to say. So yeah, they have actually leapfrogged Apple and are retaking the most valuable company crown. It makes sense. It's a big move, and if it's truly well-intentioned, I have harped on game preservation quite a bit, and it's something that at every turn, at any moment where I can speak to anyone in the industry, I am always speaking out for game preservation, because that is our history. And a lot of that, the old cartridges, circuits, discs, whatever it is, the prices are inflated because of, collectors, and and I'm a collector myself, but I mean, I don't buy and sell. I mostly just collect the games. I purchase and keep them, and I play them. I don't just display them or, keep them in their wrapping. I want to enjoy these games. I want to share my passion for games, and I want to maintain that history. So, Xbox has a chance here to be able to preserve stuff from, they even mention here how you can run MS-DOS games on PC and how you can run everything since then, right? And that's been something that they're proud of on the Windows platform. It goes beyond. It goes to licensed games from all different eras. It's even games that are on different consoles. Like, is there a possibility of those being preserved? Could Xbox lead the way in a meaningful way that allows Nintendo and PlayStation to rethink their perspective and the way that they treat this stuff? Because when I own a game on Xbox, I can just put it in the console with the disc, or if I have the digital version of Jade Empire or Elder Scrolls Oblivion or whatever, if I have the digital version of that, I can play it on every iteration of Xbox console since that game came out. So I own Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell on the original Xbox. I own it on the 360. I own it on the Xbox One. I remember it's in my library. It's on my external hard drive. I plugged that hard drive into my Series X, and I was able to play Splinter Cell, boot it right up, no problem. And a lot of times it includes enhancements, 4K, 60 frames, whatever upscaling that they can do, right? Performance enhancements. So it's really cool. This is good news. This is extraordinarily good news, because we were hearing recently that 80% of game history is being lost. So that's quite horrible. Next, Star Wars Outlaws locks the Jabba the Hutt mission behind the $110 and $130 premium editions. It's a day one exclusive mission for Jabba the Hutt. This has stirred up quite a controversy online. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Does this bug you? Is this a deal breaker? Because a lot of people are saying, like, Star Wars Outlaws, oh my gosh, this looks like the ultimate Star Wars game. It's open world. It lets us be a scoundrel for the first time in the series. We're always usually playing as, lightsaber-wielding Jedi and Sith and all sorts of places in between. But we've never really had the chance to, be a bounty hunter or a scrapper or some sort of, in-between in that realm there, where we get to, explore the criminal underworld of Star Wars. Okay. So for me, it's got me thinking. I think one of the things we talked about with Andrew on his podcast last night He said they're telling you now so that you have enough time to save. And it's like, yeah, that's several months away. If you put, $5-10 away a week, no problem, right? And I agree with him on that. I think that's logical. The game already being $70 is already breaking people's wallets, and it's pretty expensive. And we're getting into the fall season where you have to really decide, like, wow, which of the big games that we've been waiting on all year am I going to pick up? Which one's worth my money? Which one's nickel and diming me? And this is kind of the point where you support what you like in the industry. And a lot of people are saying that this is going to be the Red Dead Redemption 2 of Star Wars, that this is going to be a genre-defining game and just an incredible experience. And it looks like all that might be true, but I would wait to reserve judgment when I see more hands-on gameplay, stuff that's not notoriously scripted in the way that Ubisoft does a lot of their gameplay videos, like they did with The Division and Watch Dogs and stuff like that. So it's lame that they're locking that behind a paywall, essentially, but I have another article, which I have linked in the description. Ubisoft has now responded, and that was just yesterday. I guess it missed our radar, so I thought I would talk about it here. Interesting what they have to say here. So Jabba the Hutt and the Hutt Cartel are one of the main syndicates in Star Wars Outlaws and will be part of the experience for everyone who purchases the game, regardless of the edition, right? So DLC packs are coming with new stories, quests, and areas to discover as a part of the season pass. New cosmetics for Kay and Nyx. So you're getting cosmetics, you're getting new quests, you're getting missions. The Jabba's Gambit mission involves players taking a job from Jabba where they must collect a debt from an ND5 droid. After the mission came to light, some people voiced their frustration over a story mission being unlocked behind a paywall. And basically what they've said here is they're basically telling you, like, hey, it's just a 30-minute mission, it's no big deal. But I think it sets precedent, and this has happened before, and it'll probably happen again. And people complain about it every time it happens, but people don't vote with their wallets. People don't take a stand. People don't mobilize in a way that's meaningful. And really, this is just Ubisoft being able to quiet the masses by coming out with a statement that will hopefully quell everybody, right? So let me know what you think about that. What did you think about Star Wars Outlaws before hearing about the DLC? And what do you think now? And what do you think about Ubisoft's comments post outrage? Check out my merch store on Spring. Link is in the description. You'll find apparel, homeware, accessories, pet stuff, and drinkware, all designed around my brand. I'm proud to sport this stuff myself, and I know you will enjoy it as much as I do. Profits from the merch store support the podcast and the YouTube channel. Take a look and see if anything suits you. I have a wide arrangement of colors and sizes, with many designs being rotated in constantly. Listen to the podcast and check in regularly for coupon codes. Thank you for your support. Okay, so next one. This is a big one. We've had a lot of podcast episodes throughout the Shackcast discussing live service games, the viability, the sustainability, what they do right, what they do wrong. Please go back and reference those if you want further thoughts. The most recent one, I sat down with Acting Relic, a.k.a. Andrew, on that one. Really interesting. So, what's this article about? 70% of developers worry about the live service model's sustainability, survey shows. Nearly a third are very concerned about the future of the trend, okay? So a new survey carried out by game developers. 600 developers were interviewed between February and March and asked a number of questions about business models and monetization in video games. 39% said they were somewhat concerned, while a further 31% said they were very concerned. A quarter said they weren't concerned, which is 25%, and while the remaining 4% didn't know. Live service games are defined as those that continue to provide regular content after a game has been released. Regular seasons with battle passes, for example, in an attempt to keep the player engaged and ultimately encourage continued spending on the game through microtransactions or subscriptions. Okay? So, sustainability of live service games. 70% of the developers have concerns, right? Because only, I believe it was 25% were not concerned and 4% didn't know, right? They're also saying a loss of interest from players and increased competition are the major drivers of sustainability. So let's think about it. There's Warframe, there's Rainbow Six Siege, there's Apex Legends, there's Destiny 2, there's The Division 2, there's new games springing up all over the place. There's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. So the main concerns. 63% says players losing interest in live service games. So not just losing interest in their game, but just losing interest in the genre. 62% say competition from other live service games. 47% say rising user acquisition costs, which what that means is like acquiring new users. That could be advertising, that could be word of mouth through the players. It could be an in-game event which rallies the community to come back to the game. It could be all sorts of things. But all of that costs money, right? 34% say rising development costs. 20% say competition from other entertainment. So that could be other games. It could be movies and TV shows. It could just be entertainment, widely. But you notice that they're more worried about other live service games at 62% versus the 20% worried about competition from other entertainment. Investors losing interest. Oh, loss of interest from investors, 12%. Then other, 12%. 1% don't know, right? So this particular chart here was asked to those who said very concerned or somewhat concerned. So that would be your 70% of developers were then polled about what this loss of interest is. It's very interesting. It seems plausible. It seems true. As a player and as someone who has invested a lot of time in their live service market, I see all these things to be true and to be valid concerns. Let's see. Speaking of Morgan Stanley Conference, company CEO of Global Streaming and Games, JB Perrette, this is WB Discovery, said its four main IP, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, DC, and Harry Potter, will be involved in plans focusing around live service and free-to-play games. They want to take these four franchises and develop a much more holistic approach around expanding into the mobile and multi-platform free-to-play space. So you'll see us launching later this year some mobile free-to-play games, which we hope will start building that. Secondarily, live service games, launching one-and-done console game. How do we develop a game around Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter? There's live service where people can come today and live and work and build and play in that world in an ongoing basis. A developer who worked on Knockout City, the dodgeball game, also said last month developers should consider releasing modified private server versions of their live service games when they eventually shut down in order to preserve them and make them playable in the future. Very valid, very true. Only some have done that, while others, their games vanish into the ethos. Someday Marvel's Avengers will probably join that, where right now it's actually playable online, but if you didn't purchase a copy, a digital copy when it was available, then the only way you can get Marvel's Avengers now is by finding a physical copy. Take-Two, this is a rumor. Take-Two is preparing for a Mafia series announcement. It is rumored that this will take place before the first game, so pre-1930s. They're saying that it might be set in Sicily, which is in Italy, the birthplace of the Mafia. Interesting. Could be really cool. They're saying that the job listing shows that this is in pre-production using Unreal Engine 5. I think there was another thing here. They said the next iteration featuring engagement, stealth, and combat gameplay loops. So, I don't know. Could be interesting. I wouldn't put too much stock into any of this until we really see it. I don't like speculating. I don't like rumors. I don't like hacks and leaks and all sorts of various things. But I would nevertheless be excited for the Mafia franchise to go back to its roots. I see another article linked here that might also be leading into some multiplayer mechanics. That would be a first for the series, and I'm not sure. I really like that Mafia often focuses on a sort of a realistic and immersive single-player implementation where we don't really have to worry about the single-player game being hampered by the multiplayer and how much work the team has to put in on that. And then because of that, compromises are made, right? I don't like that. So we'll see. Jeff Keighley tweeted that Take-Two Interactive, including Rockstar, 2K, and Private Division, has announced it'll lay off 5% of its workforce, cancel games, and end projects. Now, we don't know what those are, and obviously that's not going to be GTA 6, but it's very interesting that, just less than a year before, GTA 6 will be in our hands, they're already laying off people, and it's just not a good sign for the industry. That even at the studios that are succeeding, we are seeing layoffs continue to happen. Very much hoping that these people land on their feet and can find new opportunities. Wishing them the best. The last thing I have for you here is that Cliff Bleszinski has tweeted, somehow Lawbreakers is coming back. Lawbreakers was a character-based first-person action shooter that has been revived. It is a fan-made project. They did a public test, and there will be future tests. And all you have to do is join the Discord server. I dropped a link there below. And I'm going to see if I can find a link to some of my Lawbreakers gameplay that I have on the channel. I will link that below. I will say Aaron Shack's Lawbreakers gameplay. Might be some old footage, but honestly, just to kind of see what it looks and feels like, it should be really interesting. And I'm excited that this game's come back. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I really enjoyed it while it was out, even though it wasn't my genre. And even in some of those videos, I'm sure you'll see that I become frustrated with multiplayer and the experience. But at the same time, the low-gravity situations that you have, the fast-paced combat, whereas Overwatch is a little slower, I really enjoyed it. And I would love to see it come back, and hopefully it can find a way to be on PC and consoles and everywhere again, so that the most amount of people can support this game and it can be enjoyed. So once again, I hope you enjoyed that news coverage. I did check out episode 1 of the Fallout series. I highly recommend it. It's Fallout on Amazon Prime. I believe it did justice to the games while paving its own path. It It's an interesting story, and I'm already interested in the characters that they've revealed. So I'm not going to binge it. I'm just going to watch, an episode a week. I'm still working on my watch through of the 90s X-Men. I'm on season 4 now. So I'm enjoying that before I tune into X-Men 97. And I'll have some more videos coming out this week. If you want to know what I thought about Spider-Man returning to theaters, I'm very excited. And if you would like me to make a video of that, let me know in the comments down below. I have a lot to say about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, and Norman Osborn, which was Willem Dafoe. Incredible film, and I could go on a separate rant at length and have some really interesting points that we could discuss. So once again, I want to thank you for watching. Take care. Be safe. This has been Shackcast episode 50. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.